Welcome to another explainer. Today, we're taking something that seems, well, incredibly basic and completely deconstructing it. I mean, have you ever watched an elite athlete just silently glide past you on the track? Their feet barely even look like they're touching the ground. You're probably wondering, how on earth do they make it look so effortless? That's exactly what we're going to figure out. We're going to look at the anatomical build of the perfect runner, breaking down that incredibly fluid motion into clear, actionable mechanics.
Which brings up a pretty famous phrase, right? We were born to run. But were we really born to run? Because let's be honest, for a lot of us, that statement feels pretty far from the truth. For so many people, running doesn't come naturally at all. Actually, scratch that. It often feels totally unnatural, totally exhausting, and incredibly jarring on the joints. And there's actually a very simple reason for this. It's something we were never really taught how to do. We just kind of started doing it.
And that brings us to the running gait. Essentially, this is the complex, fluid movement patterns of a runner's stride. Now, whether you're completely new to this or a seasoned veteran who just isn't thrilled with how you move, going back to basics is absolutely crucial. You see, it's usually pretty obvious when you spot a bad running gait, right? We instantly see what's going wrong. But good runners, their form is super subtle. It's so much harder to pinpoint exactly what they're doing to make it look like a breeze. That's why we're going to build that perfect form, literally piece by piece.
Let's jump into section 1, posture, the starting line.
Okay, let's dive into this. To build our perfect runner, we actually have to start before you even take a single step. Think about it. If your foundation is all misaligned when you're just standing still, that misalignment is going to be massively amplified once you add speed and impact. So I want you to picture an invisible line dissecting your body. It starts right from your feet, travels up through the ankles, through your knees, right on up through your hips, dissecting your shoulders, and finally ending at your ears. Ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, ears. You want to maintain this perfect, straight alignment when you run. Head held high, shoulders open, tummy tucked. But here's the kicker for running. You aren't perfectly vertical. That straight line needs a slight, just a very slight, forward tilt angling up from the ground.
Moving on to section 2, feet, rubber meets the road.
Now think about walking for just a second. You land with a rigid heel strike. Your leg is way out in front of you and your knee is completely straight. But the literal second we switch to running, the force going through your joints goes through the roof. You absolutely must have a soft knee. It's so common to see people overstriding, landing hard on their heel, with their foot planted way out in front of them. Honestly, it acts like a jarring, painful brake. You slam your foot down, and then your body has to work overtime to physically drag your center of mass over that foot. It's exhausting. But on the flip side, a midfoot plant right underneath your body acts as a natural shock absorber. Because your body has already started moving backwards over the foot, the momentum stays buttery smooth. And hey, remember that forward tilt we just talked about? Implementing that tilt makes landing on your midfoot so much easier.
So how exactly do we train our brains to feel this midfoot plant? Well, we can use some classic on-the-spot diagnostic drills, starting with high knees. If you have the space, seriously, try this right now for about 10 to 15 seconds. Jog on the spot, bringing your knees just halfway up to hip height to start. Focus entirely on landing on that midfoot and keeping your contact time with the ground incredibly short and springy. Think of your feet like springs. Once you really have a feel for that midfoot bounce, bring those knees up to full hip height, a nice 90-degree angle. If you're doing it right, trust me, it's going to be hard work.
Okay, catch your breath. After you've rested from that one, we need to activate the totally opposite end of your running stride, your bottom activation with butt kicks. Place your hands behind your bottom and just start by flicking your heels about halfway up. Then, progress to actually touching your hands with your heels. This naturally, almost automatically, encourages you to land on your midfoot or forefoot. But, and this is a big but, pay close attention here. You must concentrate on keeping that upright posture. It is so unbelievably easy to cheat on this drill by leaning forward, but doing that completely defeats the whole purpose. Once you've mastered this on the spot, take it on the road and jog forward for about 15 meters to really lock in that feeling.
All right, section 3, hips, the propulsion powerhouse.
So if your feet are the shock absorbers, your hips are the essential engine for all of your forward running momentum. You'll often hear running coaches yelling the cue, run tall. And I want you to try it physically right now, wherever you're sitting or standing. Just straighten up and pull your shoulders back. Notice anything? You probably just automatically tucked your tummy in without even thinking about it. This somatic cue is absolutely brilliant because tucking your tummy actually rotates your pelvis slightly backwards, meaning it brings your hips up towards your chest. And that rotation right there, that is the secret unlock that makes lifting your knees while running significantly easier.
We also really have to look at the posterior chain, basically what's happening around the back.
When you run, you need really good extension in your leg as your body moves over your foot. Your glutes, your bottom muscles, they're the absolute powerhouse driving you forward. But if your hips are too tight or your glutes aren't firing properly, your leg extension is going to be severely restricted. And if your extension is restricted, your stride length is restricted, you're basically leaving free speed on the table, missing out on full propulsion from each and every stride.
Up next, Section 4, Upper Body Mechanics.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the upper body is an area where runners carry a massive amount of totally unnecessary, energy-draining tension. Your arms are actually there to help you run more easily. There's this powerful diagonal kinetic link connecting your opposite shoulder and arm straight through your torso all the way to your opposite hip. Because of this connection, your shoulders definitely are working, but any movement at the shoulder should just be the result of your arms driving forwards and backwards, not your shoulders forcing the movement themselves. So keep those shoulders completely relaxed, keep your hands softly curled, don't hold them poker straight, but don't clench them into tight fists either. Keep a gentle bend at the elbows, and most importantly, keep your arms close to your torso, driving straight forwards and backwards. Any movement that crosses over your torso is just counterproductive, and your legs will actually have to work harder to correct that wasted momentum.
Still don't believe how vital your arms are? Well, next time you go out, try what I call the penguin run. Literally pin your hands tight to your thighs so your arms are completely stuck by your sides like a penguin, and just try to run. It feels ridiculous. Then, go back to your normal fluid pump, driving your arms forward and backward. You will instantly feel the immense benefit and the sheer momentum that proper arm mechanics give to your running gait. It's a real game changer.
All right, we've finally reached the top of our invisible line, the heavy head. It's a heavy structure, right? And its position has a serious knock-on effect for the rest of your body. If your head drops too far forward, or you're always looking down at your feet, you're going to find it really hard to lift your knees at the front of your running gait. Conversely, if you lean your head too far back, it actually forces you to overstride and land on your heels. Plus, any excessive side-to-side movement just means your body has to compensate and work harder. The simple fix for all of this? Keep your eye line looking nice and far ahead. Giving yourself a distant visual target naturally pulls your shoulders back, aligns that heavy head, and keeps your hips exactly where they need to be. Section 5. Breathing, fueling the engine.
So we have our perfect anatomical structure built, but there's one final unseen component. Remember those bunched up, tense shoulders we just tried to get rid of? Well, that tension is very often a direct sign that you are literally starving your running engine of oxygen by taking shallow breaths right from the top of your ribcage. To fuel the running gait we've just spent all this time building, you have to utilize your full lung capacity, drawing the air deep down to the bottom of your lungs.
To test exactly where you're at with this, try this really calming belly breathing drill. Lie completely flat on your back and just breathe normally, with one hand resting on your belly. If your hand isn't moving up and down, you're chest breathing. You want to focus on filling all of your lungs so that your belly physically moves upwards against your hand on the inhale and falls away on the exhale. Once you have a solid feel for this correct motion down on the floor, bring that full lung capacity up to a standing position. Honestly, doing these simple breathing exercises right before a run acts as a fantastic reminder to stay relaxed and use your full capacity.
Let's wrap up the mechanics with Section 6, Drills for Better Form.
Now that we've totally constructed the perfect runner, here are a few final preparations to ensure all these anatomical pieces stay locked together during your actual run. First, if you want to maintain that perfect posture we just outlined for a longer period of time, you absolutely need to strengthen your core muscles and the muscles around your hips. A strong core just makes you far more efficient. And secondly, if you are actively attempting to alter your running gait based on what we've covered today, I highly recommend visiting a specialist running store. Getting properly fitted for footwear ensures you have a shoe that actually suits your specific running style and fits correctly from the get-go.
So, we've broken it all down. You have the complete blueprint. But the real challenge now? Taking this mental model out to the pavement. On your very next run, I want you to visualize that invisible line, feel that mid-foot plant, and run tall. Are you going to master these fluid mechanics, or are you going to keep fighting your own anatomy every single time you lace up? Hit the road today and fundamentally transform your next run. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.